Hello and welcome back. Let's create a hidden taxonomy first. Let's go through an example to understand this better. I have already added the utility.php file under the taxonomies, and I have used the movie post type because I want to create a relationship between the person and the movie. Currently, I want to filter the movies based on the person's name. For now, I am assigning this utility taxonomy to this movie post type. As a label, I'm using internal markers, and then I have some arguments where I have passed public to be false. That is, it won't be displayed in the front end for and won't be accessible for any users in the front end. Then we have rewrite as false and the show UI as true. Show UI true basically means that it will be visible in the dashboard. So if I refresh and if you see right here that it will be visible, but later on, once we have created our taxonomy and tested its functionality, we can turn this show UI to false so that it won't be accessible to the admin as well and will work as a hidden taxonomy. Now, the utility taxonomy concept will work behind the scenes. Also, I have already included the utility.php file in our movie library main plugin file, and I have created internal markers as a non-hierarchical taxonomy because we do not have the hierarchical terms here. After all, it works behind the scenes, so we are not going to create any parent-child relationship terms. So we have registered the hidden taxonomy called utility taxonomy. Now, what next? So now you might remember we had saved metadata using the save underscore post underscore movie action. And in here only, I have added some additional code that you can see right here for updation and deletion. Here, we are also going to create a relationship. So whenever we are having a list of actors received, we were passing it through an absolute integer function in the previous video. At this point, we have a safe array. Now, after that, I have created the utility terms an array, and for that array, I am looping through all the actors and having the actor ID, I am using it to create a term, which can be visible right here. So I'm using the person post type, and then I am having the actor ID, which is nothing but the person's post ID. After that, I am using the update post meta function to update the post meta for all the actors, which will consist a list of actors that have worked on that movie. So this term will create into the internal markers. And now after updating the post, I am using a WP set object terms function, which is a WordPress function used to assign the taxonomy terms to this movie post or any post ID you are passing. So here we have passed the post ID. We have passed the array of utility terms. Here, utility taxonomy is the non-hierarchical taxonomy. That's why we can pass the string or the array of strings. And if those terms do not exist, then WordPress will create the terms. If the utility taxonomy is hierarchical, in that case, we have to create the terms first and then pass the terms ID when you call this WP set object terms. Since our utility taxonomy is non-hierarchical, we can pass an array of terms directly. And if those terms do not exist, then WordPress will create them. If it's there, then it will just use the term ID and the term taxonomy to create a relationship with that post. Here I have passed the utility taxonomy slug as the third parameter, and then we have the append, which I have set to false, as I don't want to append the terms whenever the movie post is updated. So let's say if a user has selected three actors for that particular movie, but later on there was a change and only two actors have to be assigned. If we are updating the post again, and if you pass the append parameter to true, then it will append the new terms to that existing post, and it won't remove the old relationship of those terms. So that's why we are passing the append as false here. Similarly, if there is no actor selected and we delete the post meta or update it again and user deselects the entire actors list, we will be deleting the post meta using the delete post meta function. But now we also have to remove the object term relationships that we have created right here. So to delete the newly created term relationship, we need to use the WP delete object term relationships function where I have passed the post ID and the utility taxonomy slug. So whenever a user unselects all the actors, it will delete the utility terms for that movie post ID. In this manner, this is a much better and optimized way. Now, let's go back to all movies and go to this movie that we have already created. And if you see right here, we will have all the meta boxes updated already, but no internal markers are created yet. But if I save right here, then you will see the internal markers getting populated with the terms. Based on this term name, we can easily understand that this is the person post type and this is the person post ID. So just to verify, we have person 186 and 188. And if you go to the person post type, we will have 188 right here, and for Yash, we will have 186. So these are the person assigned to that movie. Now I will do the same for the another movie, which is this. I'll just save here, and if we go to the internal markers, we have two more terms created here. So right here, if I click on any one of them, then it provides a filter where we can easily see that this is using the utility taxonomy and we are having the term name, which is consisting of the person post type and the person post ID. And later on, if I click on all the movies, then it will show a list of the movies that we have. So our relationship between movies and people has been set through this utility taxonomy. Now, how do we display a list of the movies based on the actors? How are we going to do that using WP Query? So let's go to the MU plugins and I have created a new file for our demo purposes, which is wpquery.php. So as you can see right here, I have used the admin init hook so that I can decode the output of the WP query into the backend itself. So I don't have to visit the frontend. And I have also used an inline function, which I would never recommend you folks to use. I'm just using this for a demo, but always create a name function and then use it. That way it is easy to manage and more readable. If you use this inline function and then if you want to remove it, we have to pass the function name. Then we call the remove action or remove filter. But in this case, using an inline function, we won't be able to do so. That is why inline function should not be used. Now here, I have created a new query using the WP query class, and I have passed the post type to be movie, and I'm using the tax query parameter here. If you want to know more about tax query, you can go to the WP query documentation and you can search right here in the sidebar for taxonomy parameters. And as you can see right here, we have the tax query, which provides us multiple options. Like we have the relationship to be defined. If you are having multiple tax queries, then you can use the relation and or. Then inside that we have taxonomy, which we are going to provide the slug for that taxonomy. Then we have field, whichever we are using, whether it's a term ID, a name, a slug, or term taxonomy ID. Then we have the terms, which can be single or an array, and it can consist of the integer term ID to be passed or a string. So using this tax query, I have provided the taxonomy as utility, our hidden taxonomy. Then we have the field as slug. In our case, the slug and the name is the same for our utility taxonomy. Then we have the terms. And I have used the person 186 and 188, which both belong to the movie KGF, Chapter 2. And if I want to show it to you in the backend, what we can do is we can print our movie query and check our relationship. So if you go to the backend, you can see right here that we have a tax query and we have our terms which we are using to filter the movie. Then we have the query variables. After that, we have the tax query. Then we have the request, which will have the entire SQL query. And this query uses join query with the terms table. And now you can see the post where we have a single post ID here, and we have the KGF Chapter 2 movie displayed here. So for both the actors, we were able to filter that they both worked for this single movie. Now, if I want to add another movie, what I can do right here is I can just comment this out, and if I go to this, we can create a new movie and assign it to both the actors. So we have KGF chapter 1, and let's say we are assigning this. Let's publish this. And if you see right here, if you go to internal markers, we have two movies assigned to person 186 and person 188. And if we go back to our code base and debug the query again to check if we have now the post count as displayed as 2. So this time the post count will be 2. As you can see right here, we have KGF chapter 1 and KGF chapter 2, and the post count is 2 as well. So we were successfully able to filter the movies based on the person post ID. This way, you can filter the movie post based on these actors because we have related utility terms which are assigned with the person. Now, you may have a question on using static IDs. We are using the ID statically, and that's not a best practice. But in the front end, when the user filters the movie by the actors, we will have that actor name. So, based on what are the actors' names selected, we will fetch the person post based on this actor name. And when we have that person post, we will have the ID and again construct this term. So now we know how we have created or constructed the term and how we can use this term to display or filter the movies based on the actors. Now let me just uncomment this code right here as we don't need it anymore. So similarly, you can do it for the directors, like I have added a meta box for the actors, add another meta box to assign the directors to the movie, and again in the movie for the directors, we will use the same callback function that we have right here to assign the directors term as well, because the director is also a person post. You can do it for the entire cast and crew information, director, producer, actors, actresses. Based on this hidden taxonomy concept, we will be able to filter the movies. There could be many examples where the hidden taxonomy or the hidden post type can be used to achieve some use cases. This is one of the use cases which is very simple to understand. Now, I will just go to the taxonomy and set the show UI to false for our utility.php taxonomy to make it a hidden taxonomy. And now it won't be visible in the WordPress dashboard. So if you reload right now, then you can remove this. And if you see that you are not able to see the hidden taxonomy for the movie's post type, so behind the scene, all this functionality is going to work. Users don't see the utility taxonomy because we are just using it behind the scenes for filtering our movie post. This way, we can use hidden taxonomy for filtering purposes. There could be another use case that I can think of. So if you go to the home page, so as you can see right here, we have a list of blogs that are visible. Whenever a person submits a blog and publish it, then we are able to see that they appear here in the blog page. Now, let's assume that some of the posts you don't want to display in the home page, or you want to display only selected posts into the blog or the home page. As a developer, we can register one meta box to the post type, let's say show on home page. And whenever the user publishes the post, the user will select that meta box to show on home page. And that information will be saved into the post meta as well. But there, we cannot use the post query as using a query will be time consuming and will affect our site's performance. So While saving the post meta information, we will also create a term like show on homepage in this utility taxonomy. And using the pre-get post action, we can set the tax query. So on the home page, the post where the show on homepage term is assigned, only those posts will be displayed. We are only keeping the meta information as well that can be used somewhere, maybe in the REST API or any other place. However, we are going to use the hidden taxonomy terms for filtering purposes. So this is how we can avoid the meta query, which will save on performance issues, and we can easily filter the posts as well. These are some use cases, and there could be multiple use cases possible here. What more use cases can you think of? Let us know. That's all about the hidden taxonomy concept. Go ahead and try it out. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Jai WordPress.